a very short quote today, actually from my tea bag, but I love it. The purpose of life is to know yourself, love yourself, trust yourself, and be yourself. If you were here in the beginning of August, you know that I'm trying to do this challenge and get other people on board, like every day to look in the mirror, to say, you got this, I love you. Maybe give yourself a heart rub, maybe hand on your heart, and you can say, I love you with your name. They say that this is very powerful. The experts, you would say, I love you, Terry. And that is not always easy, especially some days you're just crankster. So you can give yourself those moments. Get to know yourself. That's what we do on the mat. Love yourself, trust yourself, and be yourself. The world needs your light, for sure. If you have one hand on your belly and the other on your heart, you might switch the hands just to not always do the same thing. Deep patterns in Sanskrit, they call them samskaras. They become habits, and it's nice to just do tiny changes. You can bring both hands to touch at your heart center now. Take a full breath in and a nice long exhale. And we'll send some love out from our hearts outward to someone, someplace. And when you're ready, release your arms out into a T and maybe straighten your legs out. And they might go as wide as your mat. And we'll just very, very gently move the feet side to side. So it's like a leg windshield wiper. The feet go one direction, and you feel that because the movement's coming all the way from the hips. You can just gently turn back and forth. And then you might let the feet go toward one another. and then away. So we have some internal rotation. When the feet turn out, external. And you're not trying to get anywhere. You're just feeling how this feels in your hips. Coming back to neutral, and let's bend the knees now. We'll take the legs as wide as the mat-ish. You can always adjust. And we'll start with very tiny windshield wipers, the legs just going short distance to the left and to the right, with the pelvis and the low back. Kind of take this in. Very odd that Marlene signed up but didn't come. And you can begin to take a little wider wiper if that's good, or stay small. And perhaps you'll begin to add the head, turning the opposite way of your legs, no matter the distance the legs are going. And if you would rather keep your head in neutral, please do that. You decide if you would like to pause and hold on one side for a few breaths, or you can continue dynamic movement side to side. You can switch sides and hold again. Bring yourself back to center. Draw your knees in toward your chest, any shape that you would like. Child's pose, kind of knees wide, toes touching, or you can have the legs very close together. It might even feel good to draw yourself up into a little seed. I don't know. Some days that's good, and then other days, not so much. Coming into stillness or inviting a small rocking motion. And when you're ready, let the legs and arms float up into the ceiling, into the sky. And you might let the limbs float around. Just imagine the softest, gentlest movement. So not moving the limbs at all in an aggressive way, almost like you're floating. And keep noticing the breath as you're floating. And we'll add ankles and wrists, nice and slow. Imagine you're drawing beautiful circles. And switch direction. So we can release. And we'll stretch out into starfish. You can take arms up and over or arms in a T, whichever shape feels good in this moment. Let your body breathe in, breathe out. Two more full breaths here. Well, now you'll bring the legs in. And we're going to take a little bit of the bicycle that we did. I think last week we went on a bicycle ride. So you could hold your knees, kind of holding the legs to help get this motion in your mind. Or when you're ready, if you want, you can have your imaginary handlebars that you're holding. And take a nice leisurely cycle around the park or by the beach, wherever some joy would hop right into your heart. But try not to go too fast. And maybe hands free, arms can reach up and over with a big jazz hand. I used to be able to do that on a bicycle, and I tried it like within the last few years to ride without holding the handlebars. Forget it. Gone. Days are over. All right, let's go in reverse. Maybe wave to a friend. How's your low back? I like mine pressed down for abdominal work. Some folks like a natural curve. Stay strong in your center. Let's go forward again. We're almost to our destination. And we release, stretch out, pause, rest, breathe. Whole body inhaling and exhaling. And we'll bend the knees. We're going to try something. I think it's been a minute since we've done this. So don't you think in your mind about a motion that would look, or movement that would look like marching. So one leg would lift and lower, and then the other leg. And this will involve some core, some abdominals. So you can just do that a few times, kind of feel how you have to brace yourself and be strong to lift the leg. You can use your hands also to help lift and draw the leg in. Okay, so that's part of the movement. And the other move, we won't involve our arms yet. We're going to lift up into a bridge and lower down. So let's do that a few times. You know this movement. You can press through the heels, use your strong buttock muscles. We lift up. And we notice that the hips get out of that kind of seated shape that we're in a lot. That's hip extension. The butt muscles help with that. Thank you, butt. Let's do one more bridge. And we'll come back down. Okay, so the movement now, we'll put those two together. If you like, you can have your palms facing down. You could even hold the edges of your mat, try to pull your mat apart. Sometimes that feels like a little bit of strength, an extra prop. So we come up into a bridge. Don't forget to breathe. Let your body breathe. And then lower. And then each leg, one at a time. March and march. Then we do our bridge. And then each leg, lift and lower. Use whatever you need if you need help to lift the leg. Bridge, lower, and then leg, lift and lower. Nice and slow. Wonderful work for the core, for the hips, for the butt. Smiling helps. I'm going to do a couple more like that. Could you stop and rest? Absolutely. Last one. We'll come up into our bridge. Lower down. Leg. And other leg. And then let your arms get involved. No more marching. Inhale. Lift into your bridge. Arms can go up and over, and exhale, lower down. This is very familiar flowing bridge movement. Connecting through your heels. And taking a few more. Big, beautiful inhales and exhales. Always come back to your breath. Finish the one you're on and take one more, or rest. And when you finish, straighten out, starfish. Whole body breathing. And we'll bend the knees and roll to your side, fetal pose. You might bring your pillows with you. Just depends on your legs. I love the cushion in between. And then I actually keep the blanket under my head and I still add another pillow so that my head feels completely supported and also my bottom shoulder is not all sad and scrunchy. And your bottom arm can rest wherever it's comfortable. To give a couple of options. For the top arm, you can do fingertips touching your shoulder, drawing circles with your elbow, or you can let your full arm roam around in circles. Either way, whichever one you've chosen, and you can do both, you are allowed, when the arm goes around, you can see that there's an opportunity for twisting, thoracic twist, where the chest, your heart kind of turns up toward the ceiling as the arm roams around. And you can also just stay in neutral. We're on the computer and we're texting, and I don't know about you, but when I'm driving, I'm like become a steering wheel gripper and a bit of a stress case. So this will help undo some of that. Allow some nice exhales. And we'll switch direction with our circles. Oh, my microphone is being wonky. Let's see. Taking a couple more circles in this second direction. Maybe one more, and then you'll pause. You can rest your arm on your side or in front of your body. And earlier we had our hand on belly and hand on heart. But you might just now bring your imagination to your upper back and your lower back, and imagine you have another set of hands resting there. And you can breathe into those areas. Upper back, lower back, making space. Couple more full breaths. And this next move, we're just going to do it a few times, but I wanted you to kind of feel like when I'm lying on my side, the top waist, the top side of my body is kind of scrunched. That's fine. What I would like you to do is lift your bottom waist off the mat a little bit and see if you can lengthen the top part, and then you'll lower back down. So I'm going to really exaggerate it, like I'm as if I'm lifting up, that I could put my arm underneath here and then lowering. It's not that big, it's tiny. You can also think about it as your top hip going away from your armpit, and then it'll sneak back in. Just a couple more times. Just getting that movement, the waist. Kind of fancy, no? All right, let's slowly make our way to the other side. Fetal pose. Set yourself up to be comfortable. And then you'll decide, we're going to do the arm circles. So either fingertips, drawing with your elbow, or full arm circle, allowing the thoracic twist or not. How's the breath? Switching direction. Pausing and resting, coming into stillness. Let your arm rest on your side body or in your front. And bring your awareness to upper back and lower back, thinking about the breath. If you could direct it there, and you could make space with the breath, not by being forceful, but being extra loving. And we'll try a few times on this side, thinking again about the top waist, the top hip. So some folks, it's helpful to think about lowering, taking the hip away from the armpit, and you'll feel how that lifts the bottom waist a little bit. Or for some, you're like, I just want to think about lifting the bottom waist off the mat a hair and then back down just a few times. See if you can locate that movement. It's kind of like a side bend, but tiny. And then you'll bring yourself back onto your back. And keep one of your pillows handy. We'll use it in a moment. And coming onto your back, we'll hug the left leg in, and you can hold the leg and take the leg into some little circles, kind of like what we did with the arm. You could keep the right leg bent, or you can straighten it out. I'm just taking the whole left leg into a few circles. And we'll switch direction. And then if you'd like, you can take the left leg up into the sky, and you can point your foot or not, any size circle. We're going to do several. any size. The whole leg is circling. You have to use, guess what, your center again to stay steady so you don't tip over. And you can try some in the other direction. It's very challenging to draw like a clementine shape, like a tiny little fruit, versus drawing like the biggest pizza ever. That's how I feel it in my body. It's hard for me to be precise. Small circle. I kind of like the big sweeping ones. And we'll try a few more on this side. And you can release, maybe straighten both legs out and just notice if one feels longer than the other. You just grew. And then you'll bend your right leg. You can keep the left leg straight or bend it, and you'll hold the leg, getting that circular motion in your brain. Switching direction, right leg is bent, just making some circles. And stay with that if you'd like, or try reaching the leg up, pointing or not. Small circles, big, medium, all the sizes are good. This is different leg, different hip. What do you notice? Switching direction. Try not to have your shoulders do too much. Mine were just creeping up into my ears. Few more circles. Breathe, breathe, breathe. And we release. Arms in a T or starfish shape, whole body breathing. One more time, fill up whole body, inhale, and empty out whole body, exhale. And you can bend your knees and let's come into supported bridge now, using a cushion or a blanket, something to place the pelvis on, feeling supported and comfortable. And you might slide your pillow out or you may want to keep it. We're always noticing when we do remove the head support, if your chin goes up to the sky, you want to adjust so that your neck is long. And if that doesn't work, then you want to keep your head support in. That's really important. All right, let's just start with some stillness. So you might take feet a little wider. Let the knees come to touch. You can add your other pillow between the knees if you'd like. And then you decide on the arms. Shavasana, T, cactus, and I'm even throwing in another one today. A big circle, like your arms are making an O or a full moon. Feel free to change the shape of your arms if you get somewhere and you're not delighted with it. And then we breathe. And we'll spend about another minute here in stillness, and then we'll have some opportunities for something else. And you may choose to stay right where you are. If you would like, you can draw the legs in. You could take the legs up in the sky. And feel free to change the shape of your arms. If you take your legs up, you may want to flex and point, reach through toes, reach through heel. You can do one foot in one shape and the other in the opposite shape. And maybe coming to stillness here, about a minute or so. Bring your feet back down to the ground. Bring your left leg on top for thread the needle. Any variation at all. You can keep the right foot down. You can draw the legs in and hold. You can also make it very active by pressing the legs into one another and letting the arms rest. So the top leg, the left leg, pushes out toward trying to go through the right leg, and the right leg says, no, thank you, and pushes back. Last part, if your left foot is available, you can take your right fingers and go in between the toes. Not always joyful, but very good for us. Just lovingly placing fingers in toes, and then maybe you squeeze the toes. Maybe you squeeze the fingers. And then see if you can let the fingers relax and let the toes get out. Try to let the hand just relax, and the toes are trying to figure out, how do I get out? There we go. I got out. Big inhale, big sigh, exhale. And we'll switch sides. Right leg on top. Keeping the left foot down. Excellent choice. Drawing the legs in, holding, excellent choice. Or incorporating that active version, maybe adding your pillow back in. I just did. If you feel like your head and your neck want the support. And maybe, dun, 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 left fingertips, not fingertips, fingers in between the toes. Oh, this side is so different. So you're not trying to force anything, but you are trying to get the fingers in between the toes. And then maybe a squeeze, toes, squeeze, fingers, squeeze. And then the tricky, strange part is let the hand and the fingers relax. See if the toes can wiggle their way out. It's very interesting. My fingers are trying to help. All right. Big breath in and open mouth. Exhale. Last part here, you can hug your knees into your chest, or you could take happy baby if that sounds nice. Doesn't matter where you hold, feet, toes, inner foot, outer foot. I like to sometimes just hook my arms right behind the knee pits, clasp my hands. It makes it like minimal effort. We have the elevation from the pillow, so that's nice too. Just a couple of breaths here. And we'll slowly release. And we're going to come down off the cushion. Your choice. You can hug your knees in again or take another happy baby, or you can straighten out into starfish. And we'll be heading into Shavasana, but we'll take a few breaths, either hugging or stretching out. And then you'll set yourself up for resting. If you know you would like a very long Shavasana, you can certainly end the Zoom so that my chatter at the end will not be so disruptive. And you just add your cushions under the thighs, support for your head, anything else that you need so that you can rest. And the purpose of life is to know yourself, love yourself, trust yourself, and be yourself. Invite a deeper breath. Begin some gentle, familiar movement. Turning the head, smiling, wiggling fingers and toes, whatever feels good in your body in this moment. And you might take a full body stretch again, like a soft starfish. And you can bring yourself into fetal pose, pausing there in the pose of new beginnings. So we start our evening from here, maybe with the intention to check in with our breath, to place a hand on our heart and say, I love you. Maybe putting your name in there as well. Bring yourself up to sit. And we'll bring our hands to touch in front of our forehead. May you share good thoughts with yourself and with others. And hands in front of the mouth. May you share good words with yourself and with others. And hands to your heart. May you share good love with yourself and with others. Thank you. Thank you for being here.